हरि ओम। ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री हिरण्यगर्भाय नमः। ओम श्री महाविष्णवे नमः। ओम श्री महादेवाय नमः। ओम श्री महादुर्गायै नमः। ओम श्री राम रामाय नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरवे नमः। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं। भवानी शङ्करौ वन्दे श्रद्धाविश्वासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धा स्वान्तस्तमीश्वरम्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेदसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीतायाः पतये नमः। बुद्धिर्बलं यशोधैर्यं निर्भयत्वमरोगताम् अजाड्यं वाक्पटुत्वं च हनुमत्स्मरणात् भवेत्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। शङ्करं परमानन्दं ब्रह्मनिष्ठं यतीश्वरं भाष्यभ्रान्तिहरं वन्दे शुद्धज्ञानैकबोधकम्। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम नमः शिवाय 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 ओम नमः शिवाय। नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम हरि ओम। We'll begin with the Shanti mantra. Om Bhadran Karneभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः ष्टुष्टुवागंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति न पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्ताक्षो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Hari Om. We shall chant from the first mantra of the second section and third chapter, the last section. Savedai tat paramam brahma dhama yatra vishvam nihitam bhati shubhram upasate purusham ye yakamaha te shukrame tad ativartanti dhiraha कामान यक्कामयते मन्यमानः स कामभिर्जायते तत्र तत्र पर्याप्तकामस्य कृतात्मनस्तु इहैव सर्वे प्रविलीयन्ति कामाः नायमात्मा प्रवचनेन लभ्यः न मेधया न बहुना श्रुतेन यमेवैष वृणुते तेन लभ्यः तस्यैष आत्मा विवृणुते तनुं स्वाम्. So it is said that one who has gained that self-knowledge, the enlightened master, is becomes free of all bondage, and whatever that master desires, it gets fulfilled. Whatever the master says, it comes true. Through the enlightened person, Ishvara alone is expressing. There is no difference between an enlightened person and Ishvara. Whatever the enlightened person says becomes true. Therefore, it is said that those who desire prosperity, those who desire some pleasures, they can approach an enlightened master, do his seva, and pray to him, and their desires will also get fulfilled. So not only we can fulfill our worldly desires, but those who want moksha, they can also approach an enlightened master. So when we become free of all our other desires and only want moksha, when we approach an enlightened master and pray to him, do his seva, we will also gain that knowledge and become free. Tad viddhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshyanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. That when we approach a master, do his seva, ask questions, then he reveals that knowledge by which we also become free. But if we cannot give up the worldly desires, then those desires take us from one life form to another life form, from one situation to another situation. Our desires make us move in this vast universe, attached to our own limited body and our sukshma sharir. We move from one place to another in this vast cosmos, prompted by our desires. Just as if there is some dry leaf or some cotton ball which gets tossed either and thither by the wind, Wherever the wind takes that little cotton ball, there it goes. Similarly, wherever our desires take us, then we are born there and we experience those good and bad karmas. All our desires, there are infinite desires in our antakarana, and all these desires, they prompt us to perform different types of actions, and those actions give different types of results, and all these desires doesn't get fulfilled in one lifetime. So in order to fulfill those desires, we are born again and again. So kaman yak kamayate manyamanaha sa kamabhed jayate tatra tatra. But on the other hand, an enlightened person is one who has given up all his kamana by following the proper path of dharma, of karma yoga, of upasana, of jnana, of dhyana. The enlightened person has become paryapta kamaha. All his kamnas gets fulfilled within only. Because what we are desiring is our own supreme self. We are unknowingly, we want to be one with ourself. What we are seeking is our own inner self. But not knowing that, we run around everywhere in this world. So paryapta kamasya kritatmanastu. So one who has fulfilled all his kamnas in his own self. One who has become totally satisfied and content in his own self. Atman nevatmana tushtaha. Kritatmanaha. One who has become totally fulfilled. Such a enlightened master, all his kamnas get dissolved here itself, and he gains that liberation. It's called Jivan Mukti. Sarve praviliyanti kamaha ihaiva. Here, while in this body, living in this world itself, the enlightened master gains freedom. That is the greatest thing, that is the ultimate goal which is indicated in our Shastras. We can gain that liberation here and now. It's called Jivan Mukti, even while the body is alive. Because the body, the mind, the world are really not the hindrance for enlightenment. Because our body, our mind, our senses, this world are all expressions of our own supreme self. They are not different from us. The main hindrance of on our path of enlightenment is avidya, is ignorance. So when that ignorance gets dispelled, we gain freedom here and now. So in order to remove that ignorance, we need to approach a master and learn. Because the only way to know our own self, to gain that knowledge, the only praman are the Shastras, the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Sutra. The knowledge which are revealed in this Shastras alone will be able to dispel our ignorance. Because all other praman doesn't help us to gain self-knowledge. Our senses cannot see that self. So perception, direct perception doesn't help us, nor any inference, because all inference also depends on direct perception, nor on any other means of knowledge. The only way we can know ourselves is through the Shastras. But here the teacher is saying that just listening to the Shastras, just studying lot of Upanishads and lot of all other granthas, and just memorizing all the mantras and shlokas, that alone is no guarantee that we will gain that self-realization. All this study of the Shastras and all are also a means, also a way, also are like stepping stone. But the ultimate attainment of that self-realization happens when through all these means we choose that and that alone. When we focus our attention and have that only one desire to attain that self-realization, means when we practice Nididhyasan properly, then we finally gain that self-realization. So here it is said, Na ayam atma pravachanena labhyaha. This atma cannot be attained. Which atma? Atma means our own self. But what we are experiencing now is not the not the proper understanding of our own self. We don't have the proper understanding. What we are experiencing is the Jagrat Atma. We are experiencing the Swapna Atma. We are experiencing the Sushupta Atma. Means we are experiencing ourselves in the waking state. That is called the Jagrat Atma. That we experience along with this body and along with our mind. So it is experience along with the upadhis, along with the conditionings. So it is not the experience of that pure self free from all conditionings. In the dream state also we experience our own self, but it is also not experienced as it is. In deep sleep we experience ourselves free from the Sthula Sharir and Sukshma Sharir, but still we fail to recognize it. Therefore, when we wake up, we are as ignorant as we were before. So, we have to realize that which is present in all these three and also is beyond all these three, which is present in the waking, in the dream, in deep sleep, and also beyond these three. That Shuddha Atma, which is beyond these three, but also includes the three, is what is called Turiya Atma, which is dealt with in more detail in the Mundaka Upanishad. And on Friday I will be speaking on that. So you can check the link on my Facebook page. So that Turiya Atma has to be recognized and realized. So just by listening to lot of pravachan or giving lot of pravachan alone will not help. Because all that we listen and all that we speak it remains in our buddhi only. That is the knowledge which gets retained in our buddhi. Even all the shastras which we have understood it remains in our buddhi. Lot of listening which we do, bahuna shrutena, a lot of listening which we do, that also gives us knowledge in the buddhi. So self-knowledge, we call it self-knowledge. What is so special about it? What is how it is different from other knowledge? That let us try to understand. See, there is something called, we gain knowledge directly through our senses. That's called pratyaksha jnana. Pratyaksha, direct knowledge, which we can gain through our senses. Our senses have the capacity to know. So I don't require any help from anyone for that. Suppose an object is there in front of me. I want to know what is the shape and what is the color of that object. I just have to open my eyes. And if the proper light and all is there, and my mind and all is proper behind the eyes, then whatever is there in front of me, I just know. It's the most miraculous thing, this knowledge which happens. I just know. Not only I, but you will find very amazing that all other creatures also know in the same way. You put some grains and the bird comes to eat it, busy eating, and you are observing, and suddenly the bird turns towards you, and the bird looks at you. You look at the bird. The bird can also see, gain knowledge. And if you try to move or try to catch that bird, it will just fly away. So we gain knowledge through our senses. Animal, birds, plant, little fish, even a tiny little ant, and what you call mosquito and a fly. They also, through their eyes, they see this world. Though their vision is what gets revealed through the eyes is different, because their whole system is different. Like a fly has got something called compound eyes, so it has got a different vision when it looks. But we gain this knowledge directly through our perception, through our senses. That's called direct knowledge. That's called pratyaksha jnana. In Sanskrit, it's called pratyaksha jnana. Then there are certain things which we cannot know directly through our senses. They are known through someone else. They are known through some other way. Like we read something in the books of science and all, we come to know things which we have not seen directly. They talk about atoms, they talk about electrons, protons, or they talk about the various galaxies. They talk about they talk about black holes. Nobody has seen them directly. But we hear about them, we read about them in their books, and we come to know. That is called paroksha jnana. Aksha means eyes actually. Paroksha means through the eyes of someone else. Pratyaksha means through my own eyes. So even some knowledge which we gain through our shastras, they are also paroksha jnana. The shastras talk about swarga, they talk about naraka, which we have not directly seen, but it is there described in our shastras. So we gain that knowledge that is called paroksha jnana. So this Atma, what type of knowledge can we gain about this Atma? Can we gain pratyaksha jnana of the Atma? He says no, because Atma is not something which we can see directly. It cannot come in front of our eyes. Because the one who is there seeing itself is that Atma. because of which the eyes can see is that self. It doesn't come in front of our eyes. So how can we gain that knowledge? In the Shastras, when we study about the self, the Shastras talk about Atma, it talks about Atma as Brahma. It reveals it with various words and sentences. Like about the Atma, it says, Na jayate mriyate va kadachit nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyah. Ajo nityas shashvatoyam puranaha na hanyate hanyamane sharire. That is the Atma. It is neither born nor does it die. It is eternal. It doesn't get destroyed. Even when the body is cut, it doesn't get cut. Even when the body is burnt, it doesn't get burnt. That is how they reveal, the Shastras reveal. And then they also say that this whole world is the expression of that Atma. And that Atma which is pervading the entire creation is also named as Brahma. So that Brahma is indicated as Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, as pure existence, knowledge, bliss, infinite. So when we study the Shastras, we gain the knowledge of our own self, we gain the knowledge of that Brahma, but that knowledge is called Paroksha Jnana. That is also Paroksha Jnana. That is also indirect knowledge. That is also just a theoretical appreciation of our own self. But that is important. So, through our pure buddhi, with the help of the Shastras, as taught to us by our teacher, when we gain that Paroksha Jnana, that theoretical understanding of our own self, thereafter, we have to, what you call, directly experience that self. That direct experience of that self is what is called in our Shastras as Aparoksha Jnana. Aparoksha Anubhav or Aparoksha Jnana. Aparoksha means neither Pratyaksha nor Paroksha. Different from Pratyaksha, different from Paroksha, it is Aparoksha Jnana. What we call Anubhav, what we call the direct experience, immediate experience. Because what we have understood through our buddhi, it is the knowledge of ourself. But I experience myself free from all the upadhis in deep sleep, and along with all the upadhis in the waking and in dream. So that I, devoid of all these upadhis, free from all these upadhis, that pure I is actually Brahma, am Brahma. So for that, what we have understood with our buddhi, we have to shift the attention of our buddhi towards that self. We have to shift the attention of our buddhi, which has understood, theoretically the buddhi has understood. So that buddhi which has understood the self has to be shifted towards that self. So constantly the buddhi pays attention to the self which it has understood. So buddhi has understood the self, and I have the direct experience of my own self as I. And buddhi has understood that this self is Brahma. So that direct experience of I and that understanding of that myself as Brahma should come together. And when they come together, then I have the direct experience that I am Brahma. That direct experience of the truth that I am Brahma is what is called aparoksha anubhuti, the direct experience of my own supreme self. So with my effort, with my purushartha, I can only shift my attention of the buddhi towards the supreme self. That much is my effort. I just shift my attention constantly toward the self, focus my attention on the self, remove my all other distractions. Like in Gita also Bhagavan says, Yato yato nischarati manaschanchalam astiram tatastato niyam tata atmani eva vasham nayet. That wherever the mind gets distracted and tries to run around here and there, bring that mind, bring that intellect again towards the self, and just let the mind, the intellect be focused on the self. That much is our purushartha. That much we have to do. And when that is done, for a long time, when we just sit, that is called meditation, that is called nididhyasana. When that is done for a long time, then here the Shastra says, the self reveals itself. Means we gain that aparoksha anubhuti of our own self as Brahma. See, this may sound very mysterious, but we do experience such things while going to sleep. Sleep is the most mysterious experience which we have. Deep sleep. Deep sleep means dreamless sleep. Most mysterious experience. In that dreamless sleep, we become totally disconnected to our physical body, and we become disconnected to our mind also, to our sukshma sharir. If we have to describe that deep sleep, you will find that it is something which is impossible to experience. But you all know that we can just go glide into that deep sleep very often. Even during pravachans, we can just fall asleep. So what happens in that? The senses get withdrawn from the world. The Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, we no longer experience in this world. So senses get withdrawn into the mind. But the mind continues to think, continues to imagine, continues to visualize. And that is experienced as dream. But after some time the mind also gets tired and it stops functioning. And that is what is experienced as deep sleep, a dreamless sleep. There is no dream, there are no dreams, and there are no perception. So mind is not functioning. Buddhi is not functioning. And we experience deep sleep. We experience ourself. We exist in deep sleep. Then again the mind wakes up, the buddhi wakes up, the senses wakes up, and we experience the waking world. So what we do naturally, effortlessly, when we go to sleep, we have to do this consciously. Not that we have to go to sleep, but we have to shift the attention of our mind, the intellect, to that self which we experience in deep sleep. The attention of the mind and intellect should be shifted in the waking towards that self. and let the mind and intellect dissolve into that self. Means just think about that self, and through this continuous practice of this, the self gets revealed itself. And that is what is indicated here. Ki yam eva esha vrunute. Yam means that wise seeker, that intelligent seeker, that seeker alone, who chooses that Atma. And that choice is that buddhi, the mind, is shifted toward the Atma alone, which is understood by the buddhi. The whole focus is on that self and self alone, not on anything else. Because any other thought or any other distraction will not help. Therefore, that eva word is very important. Yam eva. And that eva word is what you call to be attached not only to the seeker but to that self. Means that seeker alone who chooses means pays attention to the self and self alone, with that desire to attain that self. Then that self reveals itself. It reveals itself. Just as we mysteriously fall asleep, similarly a sincere seeker mysteriously go into that experience, aparoksha anubhuti of the self, gains that aparoksha anubhuti, gains the aparoksha anubhuti. When we are tired, we go to sleep. But in nididhyasan, we should be alert, awake, fully conscious, but free from all distractions and totally steady. And attention is only on the self. Like I said, just as Nandi, Bhagwan just keeps looking at Lord Shiva, similarly we should just look at our own self. That self is not only within, but is everywhere. So when that is done, here it is said, Tasyeva Atma vivrunute tanum swam. To that seeker, the Atma reveals itself. What we experience in our deep sleep, free from upadhis, but that experience doesn't last. And when we wake up, we don't have any knowledge about it. But when we gain this aparoksha anubhuti, then even when the mind and intellect are awake, the anubhuti continues to be there. So enlightened person thereafter doesn't have to meditate. Then wherever the mind goes, whatever the buddhi does, he is always in a state of enlightenment. Yatra yatra mano yati tatra tatra samadhayaha. Wherever the mind goes, he is in samadhi only. Then there is no need to close our eyes and meditate. There is no need to do anything special. Then the enlightened person is always in samadhi, in sahaja samadhi, means always having that aparoksha anubhuti, always reveling in his own inner self, which is the self of all. Always reveling in Brahma. Nandati, nandati, nandati eva. So tasyesha atma vivrunute tanum swam. So the fulfillment of all our pravachans, the fulfillment of all listening and doing all our sadhana is in gaining this aparoksha anubhuti only. Otherwise, it is just incomplete. So now same thing is being said in the next mantra, mantra number 4. So let us chant mantra number 4. Nayamatma balahinena labhyah न च प्रमादात् तपसो वाप्यलिङ्गात् एतैरुपायैर्यतते यस्तु विद्वान् तस्यैष आत्मा विशते ब्रह्मधाम नायमात्मा बलहीनेन लभ्यः न च प्रमादात् तपसो वाप्यलिङ्गात् एतैरुपायैर्यतते यस्तु विद्वान् तस्यैष आत्मा विशते ब्रह्मधाम. Here again the Rishi is saying कि ना अयम आत्मा बलहीनेन लभ्यः. It is saying that this Atma cannot be attained by those who doesn't have strength, those who are weak. Those who don't have that bala means strength, cannot gain this Atma. What is that bala and all, we will see. So, na ayam Atma balahinena labhyah, na cha pramadat, and those who are distracted, those who have pramad, those who are inadvertent, those who don't have focus, those who are not detached, for them also this Atma is not attained. They also don't attain this Atma. Also, na tapasaha va api alingat. Also, those who tapas here means of knowledge, those who have gained knowledge, those who have gained the theoretical understanding of that self, but who are alingat, means those who have not renounced. Literally it means those who have not taken sannyas, means those who have not renounced. Renounce what? All their other kamya karma and their what you call nitya naimittik karma, and those who have not shifted their whole attention to that self with that firm intention of attaining that self, they will not gain this self. But those who use this etaihi upayaihi, those who use all this upay, all this technique, what are the things they have to use? Their bala, those who use their strength, those who are strong, then those who are free from pramada, from all distractions, those who have proper knowledge, theoretical understanding of the self through proper shravan and manan, and those who have renounced all their karmas. Such dedicated, sincere seekers, eter upayehi yatate, with this, all this upay, they strive, they put forth effort to gain that aparoksha anubhuti. Yastu vidvan tasyesha atma vishate brahmadhama. They come to recognize, realize that Atma, and they enter that brahmadhama. They enter as though the abode of that Brahma. Means they come to realize themselves as that supreme Brahma. Can you hear me? Can you hear Somebody is saying that no sound. Is my sound audible? Okay. Okay. So nayam atma balahinena labhyah. Okay. So maybe those who cannot hear, they may have their own the problem with their equipments. So nayam atma balahinena labhyaha. So here Shankaracharya ji is talking about that bala. What power, what strength is required? What bala is required? Should we go to some gym and try to develop our muscles and all? Are they required? What type of strength is required? So here it is said, Yasmat ayam atma balahinena bala prahinena atmanishta janita virya hinena. Atmanishta. Actually this bala comes when we practice our meditation. When we constantly do the sadhana of gaining that Atmanistha, Jnananistha, that abidance in our own self. Therefore, we always hear the stories of great enlightened master meditating for a long, long time. In Yoga Sutra also it is said that only when we practice for a long time sincerely, we gain that strength of meditation. Sadirgha kala nairantaryena satkara sevita dhrida bhumihi. In Yoga Sutra it is said that when we practice this meditation dirgha kala, for a long time, nairantaryena, without a break, satkara sevita, with due reverence for the sadhana, if it is done for a long time, we gain that bala, that strength. And with that strength, when we continue doing our sadhana, we gain that direct anubhuti. In Upadesh Sar also, Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi ji talks about this. That when we practice this dhyana, then we gain that bala, and with that bala we gain abidance in our sense. So that bala is of that Atmanistha Janita Virya, that bala, which comes through constant practice only. See, just as when we do our physical some exercise and all, we get that strength. Then we are able to sustain. We are able to do lot of other physical work also, and have lot of that stamina in us. So that comes through constant practice of exercise. But here the teacher is talking about the bala which we gain, the sattvic bala, which one gains through the sadhana of niridhyasan. In Gita also Bhagavan talks about this bala which is free from raga and dvesha, which is free from kama and raga. Balam kama raga vivarjitam, free from kama and raga. So it is not a bala, strength, which is seen in the world, which arises due to our desires and attachment and all. But this is a bala where the person is totally detached from the world and constantly practice this dhyana, and that dhyana itself gives him that strength. And this Even to certain degrees, all of us must have experience. When you meditate, many times you must have experienced this, that once you meditate for a long time, then you don't even want to get up from that meditation. Then you just want to continue with that. Then there is that flow, that there is that strength which you get. You can just sit there for a long time also. It is not very mysterious that way. That strength then sustains our meditation. So that bala, if we don't have, then we will not be able to meditate. People will then get tired, becomes sleepy, gets distracted. So such a person is called balahina, is a weak person. Such weak person will not be able to meditate and gain that self. He might be very strong physically, might be strong mentally, but doesn't have that bala of spiritual bala, like the bala which we see in Nandi. Just sits at one place, staring at Lord Shiva, doesn't move. These are the Vahan. Shivji's Vahan is Nandi. Means Shivji can be attained with the blessings of Nandi. Like Ganesh Bhagwan, his Vahan is that Mushaka. And if you observe the Murti and all, you will find that Mushaka, the mouse, will always keep staring at Lord Ganesha. Bas, he is fulfilled. और कुछ नहीं चाहिए. Just keeps on looking at Ganesha Bhagwan. Bas. He is not distracted by so many modaks and all are there. Not distracted. He just looks at Ganesha only. कुछ नहीं है. Like Garud, who is the Vahan of Vishnu Bhagwan, he also keeps looking at Vishnu Bhagwan only. Mirabai and so many other devotees, they keep looking at Bhagwan. It may appear they are looking outside, but they are not only looking outside, they are looking inside also at the same time. When Mirabai is looking at Krishna, Bhagwan's Krishna Murti, the idol of Krishna, she is also experiencing that Krishna within herself. When Sant Naneshwar Maharaj looks at Panduranga Vitthala, he is seeing Bhagwan outside as well as inside. Sundarate Dhyana Ubhe Vitevari, beautiful form of Bhagwan standing on that brick. So that is the bala which one should gain. And it doesn't depend, no doubt we have to keep our physical body also strong, because if there is some sickness, some weakness in the body, then also we will not be able to meditate. So we have to keep the body healthy and strong, keep the mind, intellect also healthy and strong, and then get that bala of meditation, that one will not get distracted by anything. This bala was there in Shukadev, the son of Vedavyasji. He was, his father sent him to Janak Maharaj, that go learn something from Janak Maharaj. So he goes to Janak Maharaj, and Janak Maharaj, a great king, so first of all he doesn't, he closes the gate and doesn't allow that Shukdev ji to enter. So he just sits there without getting distracted. Then he opens the gate and keeps a lot of pleasurable items, and different things are kept in front of Shukdev ji. Different bhog items are there. And Shukdev ji is not at all distracted. He is not distracted by anything. He is always in that bliss. So that is the bal, the strength, the power. And nacha pramadat, and that pramad, also one should not have any pramad. What is pramad? Shankaracharya writes, na api laukika putra pashvadi vishaya sanga nimitta pramadat. See, when we have attachment to our family, to our wealth, to our vehicles, to our house, to our status, then it gives rise to attachment, and I mean that attachment gives rise to distraction. We get distracted. We won't be able to focus our attention on our own inner self. Our mind will again and again go to the objects of our attachments, to our family members. बबलू गया है, अभी तक आया नहीं, घर पे क्या हो गया है, ओम नमः शिवाय, ओम नमः, बबलू का फोन भी नहीं आया, ओम नमः शिवाय. So half the mind will be there on people, on money. We won't be able to. That is called pramad. So pramad should not be there. And one should have firm, proper understanding of our own self. That is called tapas. Shankaracharya writes कि तथा तपसः वापि अलिंगात् तपः अत्र ज्ञानम. Tapas means knowledge. That knowledge itself, self-knowledge itself is called tapas. So theoretically, we have to understand the self through Shravan. Theoretically means through Shravan and Manan. We have to know the self. We have to gain the knowledge of the self, means knowledge of that Brahma. So that is called tapas. So that understanding, if it is not there, then we will not be able to meditate properly, because we will be then thinking about something else only. So that knowledge gives us focus. And alingat, and without that sannyas, means without renouncing all other activities, we will not be able to meditate. So drop all other activities and just meditate on the self. Etaihi upayaihi yatate yastu vidvan. So with this, when one strives, a wise seeker, when he puts forth effort, tassesha atma vishate brahma dhama. His self enters that Brahma, means he comes to realize his own self as Brahma. Etaihi upayaihi balat pramadat, what you call, etaihi upayaihi bala apramada sannyasas jnanaihi yatate tatparah san prayatate yastu vidvan. विवेक्य आत्मवित्तस्य विदुष एष आत्मा विशते sampravishati brahmadhama. So with all this upay, when we put forth effort, then the Atma of that Vidwan enters Brahma, abode of Brahma. Means the seeker comes to realize, I am Atma Brahma, that I am Brahma, Aham Brahmasmi. Gains the aparoksha anubhuti of his own self as Brahma. Means I am that Brahma, all pervading, the self of all, in which exists the entire world. Everything is my own self. that aparoksha anubhuti is attained. Okay? So it's very important. So please listen to this pravachan again, contemplate, meditate as guided by this Upanishad. More about this we will see in our next class. Next Upanishad class will be on Thursday. And as I said, on Friday, I will be speaking on the topic Turiya as per Mundaka Upanishad. This is a special program organized by Advaita Academy. The details are given on my Facebook page, so you can register yourself and listen to this pravachan also. It will be on Friday morning 7 to 8:30. And if you register, then you can also participate directly and also ask your questions if you have any. Okay? And tomorrow we will again meet to continue with our Sundarkand session. So we will chant Sundarkand and listen to the beautiful charitra of Hanumanji. So till then you take care, be happy, safe, peaceful, healthy, do your work, do your sadhana, and see you again tomorrow. Hari Om. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. 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 Jaya Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. Bali Siyavar Ramachandra Bhagwan Ki Jai. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.